I was born in Bogota, the capital of Colombia, where the living conditions and opportunities are higher compared to other cities and rural areas. I grew up listening to my cousin talking daily to me while I was in my cradle, wearing my mom's heels and my dad's backpack at 5 a.m. in the morning to get ready to work, going to the bakery with my grandpa to buy bread and drink poni malta. I would say that my childhood was a very Colombian one. A big house full of people, noise, and arepas. When I think about school, I don't have the same memories. Since the very beginning, I was labeled as the trouble kid. I will hear things like, she can stay still, she talks a lot, she is impulsive, and so on. I felt like I was part of a one-size-fits-all education type of system that negatively impacted so many aspects of my life. Deep down, I think that was the reason to become a teacher, to prove how wrong such a system was. In my high school year, I shared with my teachers my career choice, and one of them said, "Don't be a teacher. The salary is not worth it, and you can be so much more. Be an engineer instead," one of the profitable and popular careers at the time. I started to notice how little teachers were valued, how disconnected some of them were, and the worst of all, that was being transferred to the kids. I was determined to be a teacher. I saw education as an opportunity to prove a point, that education can transform lives. My dream, and the only realistic option I had, like many other Colombians, part of a third world country with a high poverty rate, was to be admitted to the only public university for training teachers. The competition to earn a spot was fierce. For special education, there were 60 spots for more than 1,000 applicants. I used to walk home, taking a detour past my future uni, almost every day. That year, my dad used all the resources he had to pay for my last school years. I knew that the next steps were on me. I remember saying to myself, "Don't give up. You are gonna make it. There is people in worse situations than you." Then, I used to go to the public library to study and prepare for the 2 tests and 2 interviews. Finally, the time arrived. I presented the first test, then passed to the second, then to the interview with other applicants, and then to the final interview. The final list was going to be released a couple of weeks later. I had a confidence hard to explain. Deep down, I knew one of those 60 spots was for me. I went to see the list and find out whether I had passed, and my name was there. That feeling. I want you to picture a 20-year-old full of energy jumping on the streets for what just happened. One of the best memories of my life. Uni, I worked so hard. Every year, I found extra jobs, from selling to tuition to handcrafts, to pay for my semester, running like crazy. Sometimes, I had lunch on my way to uni, reading as much as I could, getting involved in all the projects, understanding how to use this energy inside me. Being a learner before calling myself a teacher. Uni was more than I expected. Oops, sorry. Lots of passionate people with stories that made sound mine like I was a spoiled princess. The majority of my classmates didn't have food to eat or even money to pay for their books, sharing one room with their whole family. That pushed me even more to value the chance I earned. The teachers were absolutely incredible. The way they shaped my understanding of inclusion, helping me channel all my problems to use them as my allies to become the teacher who I am now, the happiest, most energetic, and joyful. I would like to acknowledge all the Colombian teachers, especially the ones in public education. Gracias, maestros de la Universidad Pedagógica Nacional, por darme mi mejor regalo, la educación. After all my efforts, I became the first woman in my whole family to have a bachelor's degree. My journey was just starting. Many good things happened at the beginning of my career, but one of them was a major turning point. In 2014, I was part of an inclusion project called Hacia una educación inclusiva, reto y compromiso de todos en Cundinamarca. That project aimed to support families, teachers, and administrators to help make inclusion a reality in all the public schools in the central part of Colombia's rural area. Unlike my experience in the capital city, children had to walk for 2 hours to go to school to receive their first and probably only meal, the majority of them with many challenging learning barriers for teachers to address. And the teachers were given it all with the very limited assistance and resources supporting the kids the best they could. My second thank you is for those rural teachers. Gracias. Public education in countries like Colombia is key to economic growth and development. I dedicated myself to each child, teacher, and administrator I had the fortune to work with. In this journey, I encountered fear. Fear to change, to unlearn, to see each other as unique as we are. Fear to be vulnerable and exposed to not know how to deal with it. Sometimes teachers think they're the only ones holding the power and are not open to co-design new pathways. We can be know-it-all type of people, which makes it even harder to change. This has been one of the best experiences I have had as a person and as a teacher. The result of this project, with the support and collaboration of all the organizations involved, was a research book. This free access book allowed the community to understand and implement strategies to better include all in the classrooms. Not only that, but we ended up with lots of smiles, progress, and learning. I can express with words my feelings after receiving the gratitude of a parent with 1 kilogram of carrots and onions, his first harvest, and only income because his child was reading some words after many other teachers told him she will never do it. Seeing a kid with an auditory impairment communicating with other friends after introducing some simple sign language and pictographic systems. Seeing a kid sitting in a chair, eating by himself after being isolated for 2 years because his parents didn't understand how to deal with him. Seeing a kid win a swimming competition after the doctors declared him dead by the age of 4 because of his multiple disabilities. This made me realize the power I was holding, the power of inclusion. They succeeded and learned because someone looked past their disabilities, respecting their identity, noticing the possibility that existed within them. As a teacher, I understood that I have the power to transform a life and make it count. In these crucial times we're living in our history, we need to remember that there is one child at a time. The last 6 years, I've been teaching in international schools, wearing different hats, using my background as a special educator to help make inclusion a reality, advocating for those who struggle and are always the problem, putting the pieces together and rethinking every day. How can I be the person and the teacher my kids need me to be? This has changed the way I interact with the kids, with myself, and with others. Now, being part of an inclusive learning community where diversity is the norm, I can celebrate uniqueness. I can be myself, energetic, impulsive, loud, the one who wants to do it all because I belong. And I can transform lives because I am being heard and empowered instead of being treated like a troublesome or shut down. I think it's time to ask ourselves, What kind of future do we want in education? David Eagleman, a fantastic neuroscientist, in one of his books says, the best way to predict the future is to create it. I am on a quest to co-create inclusive and equitable learning spaces in which one size doesn't fit all. All are welcome to join me. Thank you.